lot of these people would really like to give up and they didn't really have that drive.
Envy's bad. Envy's bad.
The expectation should be to win first place.
Get them to ascend.
We kind of just threw at the end.
And just winning everything.
I'm with a better team now.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, MAD were winning 5 versus 3.
Corner. Oh, why not? I mean, take what like now over to the first.
And they buy themselves some time. It's Spaz that could do it.
Look how quick this point. Oh, especially now.
5 Rebellion Black, your Challengers champion.
Welcome everyone to Valorant Challengers League North America. I am your host, Elizabeth, joined by Roy and Dryad as my beautiful, wonderful, talented analysts on the desk. And if you are joining us just for today, we have some insane games for you. But it's been a whole week of truly like banger games. But we're happy to have you here regardless. But today we have, I think, my favorite games of the entire week. Dan, Roy, how are we feeling? You excited?
Dan?
Hi, yes. I was okay. I just had a crazy allergy. I was sneezing like 10 times in a row. So I'm looking a little silly, but it's all good. I'm excited. I'm very excited for the matches today. We talked about it yesterday, Liz. We have a cool rematch with Winthrop University and Shopify Rebellion Black. That was the upper bracket grand final of playoffs that we got the chance to see Shopify Rebellion take it 2-0, move kind of undefeated, make it to the finals that way. So now we get to see how things have changed because they've changed some compositions here and there. They've changed a little bit of the things that they were doing inside of these maps. So now I'm excited to see how these two match up this time around.
Roy, I want to ask you, I think this is kind of, you know, people, if when you think Challengers League, you think, you know, Shopify Rebellion, you know, you think of the Envies. So this is kind of like if quintessential challengers, if you will.
Yep. Honestly, I feel like I used to think that I was on that page at one point, but I don't think I'm on that book anymore, Liz. I feel like the competition has most definitely leveled up, and it's really hard for me to be like, yes, this is the team I think of when we're talking about, you know, challengers. Like there's just so many good players, there's so many good teams, and the level of competition has just seemingly gone higher and higher as the weeks have gone by. And I think ultimately what we're seeing is just like everybody is hungry. Everyone wants a level of success, and we're seeing these players, we're seeing these teams level up on a daily basis.
Something that I want to add to as we get the chance to look at the bracket is going back to something that you said that Chet said during your interview, Liz, about how them, for example, admitting they shouldn't be losing to those teams that are on sign or shouldn't be losing those matches or making them that close. But as Roy was saying, it just really proves that the level of challengers right now is very, very competitive. I mean, the teams that we're looking at today are first match, the ones that were in the upper bracket final for playoffs. These are teams that you think, oh, we're gonna watch them today because they're undefeated, right? And no, they actually lost one of their matches for both of them, including Shopify Rebellion Black or grand finalists, the ones who in lifted the trophy, but is what is that, metaphorical trophy, an imaginary trophy, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I got you.
You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. This is a team that, yeah, you think, oh, they won, so now they should be undefeated, and it just continues to prove that the competition is insane. All the teams are making crazy improvements, whether it's going to be changes in the roster or it's going to be, okay, we're going to keep the same things, but we're going to make sure that we're always one step ahead of what everybody else is doing.
And one step ahead, they might be with our first game today, Shopify Rebellion Black and Winthrop. I always say like Winthrop University. I always want to say it in English accent. I don't know why. But Winthrop University and Shopify Rebellion Black will be facing off first today. These are teams that have lost and won in the Swiss stage and are looking to kind of even out that score.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really interesting match because both of these teams, like you said, are looking to bounce back from pretty harsh losses, right? We saw Winthrop University in a really hard-fought battle versus Qbert, and then we saw Shopify Rebellion Black getting reverse swept by Core, a match that could have easily been a 2-0. And I think these are the type of matches where, like, we know these are top teams in the league, right? And the way they bounce back from these losses really speaks volumes on what kind of team this is, right? Are they going to look, are they going to be shaken up by these losses, right? Because we're looking at a team like Shopify Rebellion Black. They've gone on a massive win spree, and then they take their first loss. now it's like, okay, now they're being really tested. The team dynamic, the everything that's like the culture, it's all being tested. And what comes out from that loss is really going to define this team for me specifically.
Kind of that recalibration, if you will. I always say loss is your best teacher. You learn much more from failure. You learn much more from loss. I mean, kind of bars. Am I right?
Yeah,
like,
no,
I'm kind of cooking with that.
Poetic.
God, thank you. Oh my gosh. But for one of the teams we'll be seeing today first is Shopify Rebellion Black. Again, probably one of the most popular teams that we have in Challengers. BCJ with the aura. Oh my God, that photo. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I didn't know him like that. But this is a team that, as we were talking about before, they beat Nonverbal, but they lost to Core. So this is a team, Dan, that we're seeing that, like, is again, like with Vapin as the coach, trying to basically say that, okay, no, we are still on top. We are still the champions that you know and love.
And this is nothing new, right? For Shopify Rebellion Black, as we got to see them in stage 1, they were not the undefeated team. That was Envy. So now you're looking at a team that is also having a little bit of a difficult start, where they don't win that magic and score, where they're favorites, but they should be able to bounce back. I mean, there was a little bit of frustration coming through in social media, just saying that they played a bad game, and that's kind of how it is right now, right? You always want to play perfect. You always want to play your game, and sometimes that's just not how it plays out. Core played amazingly in that series as well for the second and third map, and now Shopify Rebellion, they have a chance to bounce back and look strong. I think every team is aiming for those one-sided scores in every single map, and it's not something that is so easy to do. It's something that they were able to do week after week, getting that experience, and now for stage 2 is kind of the same story.
Yes, and moving forward, we want to highlight Paint is someone, the person we want to highlight on Shopify Rebellion Black. Honestly, choosing anyone from this team would be really easy. They all have these insane moments. They all have these, classic, individual styles. But Paint is their duelist. And really, Roy, I'm just gonna let you take it, because Paint is something, he gets away with stuff sometimes that is insane.
No, listen, guys, I'm only gonna be referring to Paint as King Paint from now on. Like that's just my
is that what
thing.
You said?
Yeah, King Paint, exactly. This dude's bad games are quite, his bad games are literally above average in the league. Like make that make sense. Like, his bad game is 145 ADR. Like, what are we talking about here, right? Like, this is the type of player that you want on this roster, because he is a structured player when he's but when he's popping off, he can completely take over a match and change the look of the team entirely. And then you're in a completely different dynamic. Like, he is that player. He can play within the system. He knows when to pop off. He knows when to be a hero. He knows when to be an ant. He's seemingly a very dynamic player, and his pop-off potential is through the roof.
Roy, I'm going to ask you something. How would you saying that, he doesn't have bad games, which I agree. Like, I think his games just are terrifying, to be honest, when you look at his stats and look at his play style. As a duelist, how would you describe his style? Because we have, like, the Sato kind of go kill individual play style, as we see him just slide on screen right now by himself. How, for maybe those folks who are new in the audience, how would you describe Paint?
I mean, I think for me, Paint is definitely like what I would, it's a quote unquote, he's a structured player. Like, he plays within a system, right? There's set pieces, there's set strategy. His role is quite defined in like what he's doing round to round. But I think where he becomes a bit tricky to play against is when he's popping off, he finds himself in these like power positions, right? He finds himself in so many of these scenarios where he gets a single entry and then boom, he has a double entry. Or the team, they get on a site, but they're down players and you need that person to step up. That's Paint. He's like one of the most consistent players in the league, and just his level of play, he's consistent in terms of strategy, and he's consistent in terms of his own individual expression within a system. So he's a very special player. I think he was a great pickup for this roster, and I think the results speak for themselves.
Absolutely, 100%. Shopify Rebellion Black, a team to focus on and watch, but also a team to beat. And the team that is looking to beat them today is, I'm going to try to say it in a nice Jersey way, Winthrop University. Guys, I just really want to say it in an English accent. I can't. Like, you got to try it at least once, because then it feels different. But Winthrop University, with another Jersey goat, Ollie, also from New Jersey, like me. This is kind of, when we talk about like collegiate Valorant and Challengers Valorant, Winthrop wasn't always in the conversation, but recently, Roy, they've really been making a name for themselves as true threats in the scene.
Yeah, I mean, this team has looked great. I mean, even in their losses, they still look great.
it's been really cool to see this team and the way that they've been growing since the beginning of their collegiate career, when they were playing at Riot Games, actually playing for that final, trying to get the second spot. And I still remember Moves just saying that they were in collegiate, they were always getting that second place, they were trying to get the first, and then they started winning a lot to the point that they're here, right, in Challengers. So they have such a cool story. I think they surprised everybody when we got to see them on stage 1 and everything that they were doing, defeating the teams that we thought were favored into those matches, and Winthrop was just winning and winning and winning. I think part of it is just comes with the flexibility of this team, and also the amount of time that they've stayed together. This core has been staying together for what, 3 years now. It's insane.
Yes, that's why I think, you know, that consistency and that what's the word? Oh man, I can't think of a word, but that sort of familiarity, there it is, if you will, is so important. And someone we want to highlight is another duelist. We want to highlight Infiltrator, someone who has really, again, Roy, I'm gonna throw it back to you, my duelist king.
Yes, I'm the duelist expert now. Let's go.
Duelist expert. Well, talk to me about Infiltrator. This is someone who I think maybe is not always in the conversation, Roy, when you talk about like challengers, duelists, but again, not someone you should be, you know, turning a blind eye to.
I feel like he wasn't a part of the conversation maybe in the beginning of Split 1, but I feel like now when you talk about like flashy duelists, I feel like Infiltrator has to at least be in that conversation, right? Like this is the tip of the spear for this team. Like he's a high octane, really flashy duelist. He has a very consistent level of taking over rounds for this team. He can rifle. He's a great opper, and he's just a zoomer duelist. He's the one going in with judges. He's opping you. He's killing you with every gun in the game. Like this guy is super flashy, and I think the best part about him is the fact that he can play every duelist, right? He can play the Yoru in a very Yoru heavy meta. He can play the Jet, he can play the Neon, he can play the Raze. There's really no issues, no stumps for this player. And I think the level of consistency he brings to this team is a big part of their success.
I'm gonna ask you a clarification question, Roy, because I genuinely don't know what this word means. What do you mean by high octane?
Like he's just going in and like within 10 seconds, he's getting his first fight. Like he's super explosive. He's just running in. He's not scared of you. He will run you down. It doesn't matter who he's against.
Okay, thank you. I was sitting there, I was like, oh man, wasn't on my SAT word.
Dictionary.com.
Dictionary.com. Nah, I wasn't ready. But I think, Dan, what we have here is kind of this nice, we've been hyping these duelists as people who are on both teams, Paint and Infiltrator, as folks that are kind of different but similar in certain ways, but their style and the way within their team structure is what separates them.
I think the biggest difference, it doesn't even come down to these two players that we're looking at, Paint and Infiltrator, on their duelist role in their respective teams. I think it comes down to the style that the teams have, right? So you're going to see a Shopify Rebellion Black that is going to be a lot more structure, a lot more set plays, and these are just things that work really well for them. And then you have some occasional games and maps where the game plan they have kind of shifts because Paint is just having an insane game. He's going in, he's getting 3, he's getting an ace, and he's doing this constantly. Pretty often we see him have this kind of performance. But for Infiltrator, Winthrop University is a team that is more comfortable being loose, kind of playing around the round, trying to get a read on what the enemy team is doing. So they don't have those set plays as much as you see for the side of Shopify Rebellion Black, and that allows Infiltrator to, in one of those rounds, you know, get a little bit more aggressive, get a little bit more passive for other rounds, get some extra support, play by himself. So you have these two very different versions of the teams that make it for such a good matchup that we've had in the past.
Yeah, and to speak about that looseness that you were mentioning, right, is like you will see Winthrop University swap up their compositions like out of thin air. Like they'll just decide to swap it. They'll decide to swap the controller, or they decide to swap the entire composition, right? Like, and they're still maintaining such a high level of play. And I think that ability to be like this mixed up, especially with how, I mean, this is not the most experienced roster in the league, right? Like we can all agree on that. But the fact that they could just switch things up on a whim and still perform to such a high level of degree, I think speaks to the volume of like how on the same page this team is when it comes to their approach for the game and how they understand their collective understanding of the game. So I think that flexibility speaks about how loose this team is and how confident they are just playing in the moment, how confident they are just coming in with game plans and just playing their game.
For those of you who might be watching today's game and say, wait, this sounds very familiar. You know, I think I've seen Shopify Rebellion Black and Winthrop University before. You have. Almost a month ago today, on March 18th, they faced each other. Shopify Rebellion Black taking it 2-0. And these were pretty competitive maps. They're pretty close. I mean, Paint obviously did Paint things, basically.
Yeah.
But these are games, Roy, that if you want a good litmus test to see where we are and where these teams were. Not a bad place to start.
I completely agree. I think they're definitely showing progress in that regard. I think there's been a lot of growth for the Winthrop University roster. And even a month before this one, they also played and they got absolutely blown out of the water by Shopify Rebellion Black. So I think there's definitely growth for the Winthrop University. But guys, third time's a charm? Question mark? Question mark? Question mark?
No. Look, I see what you're saying. Now, do I think it's happening for the third time? Or I don't know. Well,
you're such a realist.
It's possible. Obviously, anybody can win this game. Anything is possible. But Shopify Rebellion Black, they're just the favorites for a reason. And I do like that since we got the chance to see them in the upper bracket final, both of the teams have presented a couple of things that are different. I think we were always kind of questioning exactly what we're looking at right now. Ali on this club, on Lotus, that we've seen teams even at the very top in VCT Americas, like Heat, for example, play it. But when you go into this, it just seemed like it was a comfort pick, just an opportunity to get a little bit more aggressive and kind of win those duels by just like that. But now they've switched into those standard compositions or the things that you're expecting in that map of Lotus, and doing those changes that is like, okay, at the beginning we were just going this for comfort. Now we're going for what's best for us and what's best for the team to win.
And where we can really see that, Dan, is in those map picks and bans. Amazing segue, Elizabeth.
My God.
Moving forward. Thank you, Roy. Oh my God, you're so nice to me today. Don't say anything about, but moving forward into the map picks and bans for Shopify Rebellion Black versus Winthrop University. You want to know your enemy as you know yourself. These are teams that faced off against each other twice, and we are going to be seeing Lotus, Haven, and Pearl. I don't think we've seen a Lotus all week. No, am I wrong? Maybe I'm right. I don't know. But Roy, what do you see here?
I'm actually, okay, Sierra, I know Sierra is pulling her hair because she hates when Winthrop University first picks Lotus. It's like her biggest gripe with this team. But honestly, ever since they experimented with the Breach Tejo comp on that map, and it wasn't really working out too well for them. And then they ended up reverting back into their double info. So they went back to the Sova Tejo. And honestly, they just look so much better with the Sova and the Tejo versus the Breach Tejo, which to me is like crazy. But at the same time, this speaks to that they are just playing to their comfort. They are just playing to what makes sense for them. And I think because this team is so like dynamic, that double info initiators allows them to play at their own pace and unravel the map in the way they want to. And I think that works really well for them. And I'm not surprised to see that being their first pick.
I think when you see maps like this, especially when you have a team like Winthrop University, for those of you who don't know, are kind of running the gamut in C-Val. I believe just beat Fisher 3-0, a clean 3-0. There's a sense of fatigue, but there's also a sense of like, we have our reps in, we can do this. Dan, I want to pose a question to you. The last time these teams faced each other was literally almost a month ago. How do you think things have changed? How do you think things have moved or settled in a different way? Or is it business as it was a month ago?
Yeah, as I mentioned, the compositions, for example, for this first map that we're going to see are going to be different on that side of Winthrop University. And it just seems like it's a composition that is fitting them a lot better. We talked about how Infiltrator has some games where he wants to play hyper aggressive. He's getting that first pick constantly. And with the Neon, it feels like everybody, thankfully, is able to keep up with that speed, right? A lot of teams have issues doing that, but I think Ali has been much better on this element, just sending that paranoia and setting up Infiltrator for success. And on top of that, you have Nasty and Flare on these two initiators that are able to kind of get that info early on and set you up on site. So it's a lot of cool things that this side of Winthrop University is doing that I feel like has changed the way that we are going to see this matchup coming into today. But once again, it's going to come down to this first map of Lotus and, you know, what they're going to be able to do if they get that first win in their map pick for the first time, it seems like.
And I think the really interesting thing, guys, with this first pick as well is that this is not really a weak map for SRB. Like they're 3-1 on this map. Like this has been a really solid map for SRB. So I think Winthrop University is either coming in with an insane game plan or they're very confident in the holes or the gaps that they see with how SRB is approaching it. But from where I'm standing, this is kind of a scary map. Like this is a 50-50 if a 50-50 existed in this best of 3. Now going into the second map, Haven, that Haven map is going to be crazy. It's a map that both teams have been really good on. I really like the way SRB's been approaching their Haven, but we've seen some good results from Winthrop University going neck to neck with Qbert, having some pretty solid results on that map. So I think this series is going to be actually quite crazy and very competitive.
Well, the thing I'm going to ask you guys is we all predicted something. Now that you've seen the maps, do you want to change your prediction? Does anyone want to join me on the side of Winthrop University? Because I was the only one that predicted them. Anyone want to come with me? The water's warm, everyone. Come join me, if you will. Anyone? Anyone at all? Dan? I see you, Dan. I see you on screen. You're thinking about it.
No, Dan's too much of a realist.
Okay.
I'm chilling. I'm pretty comfortable with my pick.
Hey, let me see how first map's going, then I'll get back to you on that, Liz.
No, Roy, we're not doing this. No, we're not doing this.
Well, okay, here's the fun. Let me play this game. Roy, I'm gonna give you some time. Convince me to change my pride to shop Fire Rebellion Black. Go.
I quite literally can't, honestly. Besides the fact that SRB has been such a good team, I actually like Winthrop University. I'm like 55-45 SRB. I'm not even a hardcore SRB convinced soldier right here. I'm like on the fence, to be honest. So like, I don't blame your pick. I like the Winthrop University pick. But I think SRB is just slightly a little bit more well-rounded, and they're a little bit more consistent with how they play. And I feel like their fundamentals have been just slightly more on point than how Winthrop University's looked, and that's why I'm SRB.
Dan, you're pretty adamant about not joining me. It's fine. It's like whatever. We just spent like 2 days on the desk together, but you're, leaving me to dry. Why aren't you joining me?
BCJ is gonna haunt me in my nightmares.
He's got blackmail on you?
You're telling me that my bestie BCJ, I had to send a preemptive apology message today, but I still was brave enough to do it. But you were like, nah, I don't want to do that.
Nope. I'm pretty comfortable.
Wow.
I know it's gonna be close, very likely. I know that no matter what, Shopify Rebellion Black is gonna close it out, and then I won't get haunted in my nightmares. So I appreciate that.
I'll take the brunt of it. If I am wrong, I promise you I will not hear the end of it. I will never live this one down, but it's all good. Moving forward, but we're gonna take a little bit of a break. So stay right there. Grab your Red Bull, grab a water, stretch, text your mom. I don't know, but we'll see you back here in a little bit. Stay right there. Welcome back, everyone, to Valorant Challengers League North America. Thank you so much for your patience while we sorted some things out. We are going straight into Agent Select. Not going to make you wait any longer right away. Winthrop University, and Shopify Rebellion Black here on Lotus. Roy, I'm going to throw it to you right away. Anything that stands out to you? Anything that makes you want to speak a little bit on it?
Yeah, I'm seeing the fact that none of these teams have made any changes to their composition. I think they found what they like on this map. I think this is all going to come down to the infamous Winthrop University prep. They love being prepped to their matches. It's how they find their confidence. They've spoken on it many times. And of course, Shopify Rebellion Black, one of the most fundamentally sound teams that we have in the league. This is going to be an absolute banger, guys.
As Roy was saying, we are not seeing any changes from the last match of Shopify Rebellion Black and Winthrop University when it comes to this map of Lotus, but you have to pay attention to Nasty. Sova is his best agent, and one that we don't see on this map very often, but that's going to provide that extra information that the team might need early on to get that lead.
Well, folks, like Roy said, it is going to be a banger, and I know just who to send it to. It's our casters, Tenrek and Nerds on the call, friends. Take it away.
Thanks so much, Liz. And Winthrop University have had their chances before to dethrone Shopify Rebellion Black at the same power levels that they stand at today. And yet, even with their coach standing in, Shopify made no trouble defeating them previously. Now, here they stand fully powered up, but handed their first loss coming into this. Nerds, can they come back from something like this? Literally, nobody knows.
Well, okay, I have an inkling, right? And my inkling is this, that it's a very losable game for Shopify Rebellion. I know I predded them. I know I put them in as the lead, but the reason I say that in my mind is because we've seen moments of weakness out of them, especially towards Fracture against Nonverbal. We've seen teams really push their buttons, and if what Dryad said runs true, and there's a lot of prep for this Winthrop squad, as well as Roy when they were talking about it, I have a strong suspicion that it is a very, it's a match that Shopify can lose and Winthrop can sneak away with. But regardless, I think I stand true with my prediction that I said before that we got on the mic. This should be like a very, very rough game for both of them.
Agreed.
Oh, wow.
Close as close can be. Winthrop gonna take this fight out the gate up here on Rubble and swiftly deal with paint. Quick jump check by Ali, coach turned player for the squad that's just happening to frag out along the way. Shopify able to trade out 2 for 2, but Spike a little stranded. I have retrieved the Spike. Able to re-up on this fight whenever they want to, and the desk hit the nail on the head when it comes to prep. Winthrop University, that's what really propelled them to that spot on the podium in the previous split. Just insane macro reads on these orgs and high-level teams as the playoffs continued. And that hasn't changed this split either, despite their loss to Qbert Academy in the previous round. That one was, again, so damn close.
Oh, yeah.
Shopify Rebellion Black having a 2-stack, stepping over to C-site here to get this spike down. They'll walk into a little bit of util.
It's nothing too crazy, Tenrek. You're gonna be able to get on. Well, I mean, honestly, for Monzi, if he got caught by that, they could go down with such low HP. The retake set up. Really good fight for Rebel Control. I was just about to say the utility is there to deny the plant, but comes out a little too late. The retake's gonna get started.
Double step out from Flare. Doesn't even need Infiltrator's help for the first one. You do for the second. Luckily, 2 more are there, and so Winthrop will have 2 standing for that defensive retake. Ultimately, a little more aggression out the gate. Got them that first blood, and from there, they were able to maintain advantage just long enough to nab that win.
Oh, yeah. And again, we talked about the prep fighting out towards Rubble early. It looked very rehearsed, especially immediately catching these players off guard. We talked about that coach at the top of it as well. Coach steps in and does the damage that they need to do in those moments. Now, SRB forced down to the save. And looking at the buy up for Winthrop, they're going for a really beefy buy. Some teams like to go for 3, but these guys go for 4. Moob's the only one buying up for the setup. And they're set up towards the C site with an Outlaw. Gonna contest Mound.
Yeah, even still with just this Sheriff moves, a dangerous one, consistently the lurker for this squad on the Cypher. That's the other thing is most of this team is already on their quintessential agent and they won't have to change off of it for the second map. Infiltrator nabbing that first blood outside the C door and Shopify going to disperse, but they've already gotten quite deep, haven't they? Paint all the way up to the steps and he's nabbed Nasi.
They got comfortable, Winthrop. And now look at this, the plant's going to go through. You have the lurker getting lurked on. Infiltrator, what? Okay, well, Infiltrator's just doing Infiltrator things and having a fun time. We even see them zooming around, full ADHD on blast, and honestly, that's unfortunate that happened off screen, but it's kind of expected with an outlaw to farm.
I can hear him literally like screaming, yippee, 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 as he runs around. Oh, Peek's right as well. Give the man his ace. All right,
Farm
spin it back.
aces.
Spin the block, buddy. Let me see it. Show me that triple collat with the outlaw. Bloody hell.
I mean,
how do you get that?
Hell. Winthrop University, shout out
Bloody
Liz.
hell, Winthrop University.
Winthrop University. Well, what's there to say? What's there to analyze? They realized there was a gap. Infiltrator goes and takes it, and now he's one off ult. Oh, I thought there was a little. I wanted to see the replay. You called it out.
I would love to see that back.
Excited.
I'm sure
if we
hopefully,
have it.
I think we'll get it in like the half recap or something. Surely we'll get it soon. But I mean, yeah, that's got to be a fun kill to watch back. But regardless, overall message was there. Winthrop University's gun diff infiltrators more than willing to step in on top of that. And the whole squad is willing to step in on this bonus, but they'll lose the majority of that fight that Shopify happens to stick around for. Now they'll start to explore this mound stack. They've handed passive Rebel control over, but it doesn't look like they'll double back on it. They've got a trap wire set up on the lobby.
It did, so that Teo drone did not catch out moves, which was really crucial to maintaining this setup here. And that's going to dissuade Shopify Rebellion. And considering we haven't seen too much out of Rebel just yet, they might want to re-explore, considering that they haven't had anyone push up towards a lobby.
Yeah, Ali stepped back after that noise was made with the drone, so he's going to try and gain it back, but already recognizes that this push could be here and would rather play for the Beast Snake instead. Yeah, in case anybody happens to crunch him, play for his life first, and then can play for the rest of the teams once it's guaranteed. Turns around, grabs one in the nick of time, but no 2v3 for this retake.
Now they know where the stack's going to go. And you have moves running into this. Infiltrator's low. This should be an SRB win. It's a matter of if Infiltrator can take some of these players down and get active.
Infiltrator jumping down. Outlaw in hand. Slide available. So is the fast lane to divide things on Tree. Moves is now here as well, so they can take this fight in tandem. But with the Guardian, it's got to be precise shots. First step out. Infiltrator nails another collat. And that's good for 2/3 of the team. Moves can nail the 1v1. And now we'll certainly have to watch that one back, won't we? For the bonus stolen away by Winthrop University, Infiltrator, impact after impact round.
I mean, I said it would be off the back of Infiltrator, and it really was off the back of Infiltrator. Looked for damage, found way more. The double on Tree is crazy, and Shopify Rebellion, they just... It's weird to say that it felt like out of form almost. I don't know if they're playing a high-low, what they were trying to do with the crouch, but we'll see it more in the replay. Oh, yeah, they were.
Nasty.
But the Outlaw in the slow motion catches them both. That is wild. And now, Shopify Rebellion forced down to just a Stinger Rush B.
No one from Winthrop even going to pay it any mind at first. They'll play for the extremities. Any outsteppers that might have that hero rifle in hand, they don't. Stepping into the B site full stack instead, full send. Util dump on the outskirts of it, and that'll let at least one inside. Paint here on the baby door is dangerous with some coverage. The drone is going to be able to cover that though, so Paint now definitely feeling the heat. Rescue Shopify holding up the back line. Easy take on the first part of it. Nasi easy on the second from the steps, so Shopify have to overextend in the back link, which they'll grab two for, but lower health pool. Pancakes tears not though. With that Phantom, he's grabbed up, and Spaz holding the off angle. Sudden loss of advantage for Winthrop University leads to them overstepping themselves, and Shopify will swipe away around now.
Shopify rushing into it, and Winthrop being picked up. They tried to go fast as well to break through a lot of that utility. We saw really good combinations here when they fought against Pain, but unfortunately, sure, you have that rush in there, but you lose some players on the site. The guns were carried over, and now Winthrop is down, but I wouldn't even say they're down too much. They still have two really solid ultimates. They have weapons to boot here, strategy that's been tested and secured.
Who's next? Handle this.
Yeah, now they can really commit to this fully. They have a lot of response tools. That being said, losing this round would be pretty crucial for Shopify's bottom line and the future of this attack, which still needs to be pretty well nailed. Able to isolate Flare first here in the baby door without needing any ultimates for it. That's a good start. That dimensional drift continues rolling to grab a little bit of extra space, and now another 1-for-1. Ollie fighting alone here in Rubble to grab one more and not necessarily reading that Monsi could still be lurking, and Pancake's holding it down anyway. And now Shopify back to infesting the same way they did before. Moobs has to respond, can't. Pancake's up to 3 now this round.
So off the back of Infiltrator yet again, but the timings are narrow. Players are just as thin. I mean, you could try an ult here, but you have an ult to counter. There's really not much recourse here other than just fragging your way forward.
Watch out, I'm out of here.
With a quick cam check, they'll confirm his position. Everybody locks eyes and deals with him swiftly. So Shopify gains a second consecutively. And once again, the space taking has been tremendous from Shopify Rebellion Black. It comes down to winning the fights in the meantime. Winthrop University has been able to come out on top of that. You just got to bamboozle them enough times to be able to get away with taking a site and then advantage along the way if you're Shopify at this point.
That's the one thing that I've really liked out of Shopify Rebellion is that they tried to push into places, they tried to take control of A, they tried to control of C, and now they are spreading out a bit more, getting that initial info before going for the pops. Like right now, we have a 2-1-2 split, a walk down towards B. B, by the way, being a weak side for Winthrop University. Both of the rounds picked up by Shopify Rebellion by inching their way forward. Now we do see a bit more control of it. The Moobs is so far up here. BCJ should spot this out, knows, and decides to back away, not wanting to give up their life.
That's how Moobs lives, though. Throwing his body is util. Able to get out scot-free. Now tossing in this trap wire to negate anybody's ability to go in on his tail. Nasi, now as Dryad mentioned, on that Sova, definitely his best agent, his most enabling. Here to help out. Moobs can't hold it down on his own. Nasi still alone with the Sheriff. The door down C to at least distract. And now the Armageddon onto a river that's completely unoccupied. The clone bamboozled Winthrop University.
There.
Oh, and now it's just going to make it so much easier for SRB to snatch this third away. The amount of control that SRB have on this entry is going to be another point of interest.
First pick through from BCJ, 20 seconds to go still, so Winthrop able to play for time if they can hold this down, but Spaz after the TP upstairs has the drop and the double kill to bookend the third round for Shopify Rebellion's favor, tying us up here in the quarter marker regulation.
Go, go, go.
There it is, right? We talked about the way that they entered was something that I really wanted people to look at in that moment, and we saw it. They walked up in, they bamboozled, they already initially bamboozled Winthrop. So the fact that they were able to continue that while they entered the TP along with taking down Moobs towards the corner when they were trying to play, there was a little bit of a bait attempt out of Winthrop, but it just did not work. Shopify Rebellion looking a lot cleaner now that they've slowed the pace of this game down.
So Winthrop gonna try and get a little aggressive again, take over that control again over in Rubble. They'll plant Holly here and send Infiltrator back over to where Shopify's already rotated to.
Going
for that mount control again. Gonna play for any lurkers, and Pancakes has been spotted. Infiltrator still this ultimate at hand. Door pressed. Infiltrator for 2. Traded back away, and Nasi tries to press that Hunter's Fury, but can't find anything with it. So Shopify can reset.
They tried their best to sort of counter any fast play that SRB would go for a trade, but they still got the trades regardless. And Nasi getting rid of the Hunter's Fury now does not bode well for Winthrop. They do have some other ultimates, but it's a matter of finding positions and timings here for both sides to get a leg up into it. Fight towards A brewing, but Ollie gonna fall back and let Pancakes walk into them.
No charges.
And do each of these lurkers dare to take this fight, if at all? If the double stack for Shopify is good enough, you could leave. Oh, Pancakes is better beforehand anyway, and both sides will win it all in the end. Nasi now stands alone, unable to protect either end of that, having to hold down any lurker that tried to hold the pinch.
1v3. Nasi fragging IGL does have some utility, but doubt that it's going to be enough to break through.
As do I. First step out, Monsi will hold on in the end of that one.
There we go.
Keeping 3 stable. And now the lead intact for Shopify. I mean, at the end of the day, for that round in particular, you could tell Winthrop is starting to get a little antsy and sending themselves into these punishments that Shopify had to search for previously.
Yeah. So the thing is, it felt like Winthrop was fighting out so well at the start and forcing Shopify to play at their pace. They were going really fast, Shopify. And now that we've had these slow burns where Shopify can really think about what they're going to do before they exec, it's tripped up Winthrop so much that they don't know what to do instead. It's almost like I want them to kind of take a step back and allow, the slowness of the round to really work in Winthrop's favor. You are on the defensive side, and I know Lotus, you fight out towards Rubble control, you fight out towards Mound control, but with a team like Shopify Rebellion, when they are playing this slow, they have ultimates to boot, and they have players that have such individual prowess. You need to fall back onto that prep, and if the prep is just running at them, I don't know if that's going to be the best course of action.
One of the big things about this composition for Winthrop University in particular is not only is it so comfort-based, but it's also so heavily based in the interception. So even though this double ultimate is online with the Tejo Breach composition, Winthrop University aren't really scared of holding this front line because they have a way to TP out, they have a way to dash out, they have a way to suppress you with the drone. There's a lot of easy response tools to negate the immediate step-in that this one-and-done type composition that Shopify has to offer goes for all too often. Armageddon down the waterfall, though, will at least give them a little bit of extra time to step onto the C site, and with the smokes, they'll protect themselves just long enough to step in. Infiltrator attempted overdrive, immediately stunted by Pain, and now the rest of the team is going to get active too. Pancakes and the former, good for 2 each, leaving this one coach turned player stranded. Ali, good for only the 1, and Shopify maintain this streak.
Again, this is the eco round, so not too much to take out of that, but 5 in a row picked up for SRB is going to give them confidence here. Right, in the previous 2 times we saw these teams match up, they plucked Winthrop out of the clearance bin, so there needs to be a bit more here for Winthrop, especially because, you do pick up 3, you had the bonus go in your favor, so by the statistical, proxy that is Valorant, you usually win the 4th round, right? It was an eco, a stinger rush towards B that won and started the streak for Shopify Rebellion. At this point, it comes into a question of mental, a timeout. All of these things are probably going in the minds of Winthrop University as they go into another rifle round.
I'm a tad surprised Winthrop doesn't call a timeout coming into this round.
That happens.
Nonetheless, Rolling Thunder early off the gate, catch an Infiltrator, and Paint with the TP on top of the Dimensional Drift. Has backstabbed Nasi, and that's 2 rifles immediately flatlined. C-site pressured off Rip, step out from Flare to try to go for the early pickoff, and it's not good either. Everything for Winthrop University falling apart on this defense at this stage. Shopify look to have it all unlocked.
At this point, you have 2 players for retake that are going to try and save, while Pancakes is just going to go for that backstab. And the thing is, I do want to commend Winthrop in this round. They didn't play it as super aggro in some cases. I agree with you, Tenric, in the fact that you need to be a little bit more preemptive with a composition like this, get that info out of Sova and prevent Shopify Rebellion from getting that post plant. But when you have a dimensional drift to the face, you just have to take that, and you have so much info stolen from you. You can't play in any corner. You can't hide. You feel sort of naked in the moment. And that raw firepower out of Shopify Rebellion really comes to fruition here. There's that backstab coming through near the end. The 6th round in a row for Shopify Rebellion.
Go, go, go.
Yeah, Shopify Rebellion are incredibly opportunistic at this point as well, which is exactly how you need to play this against Winthrop University when any player can be such a liability, in particular this tip of the spear that we keep mentioning for Winthrop, Infiltrator on that duelist, who tried to get ahead of that dimensional drift and still pop one, but simply drained another ultimate that Shopify Rebellion are perfectly capable of cycling right back up. Of course, no ways to clear the board this time around, just raw intel ultimates for the moment for Shopify. May see Spaz go for one of his trademark TPs, especially if Nasi's able to grab a pick off Rip, but a headshot ain't enough from that distance on the Sheriff, and Paints is
I mean, Nasi going down, being the first one down in both like the previous round and in this one, or at least one of the first people down in the previous round. It really, I mean, how is Winthrop going to be playing around that, right? You have no IGL to calm. You have nothing in terms of consistency on structure. I get you want to be in the fray, but when you're getting frayed time and time again, it's not a good look.
Every excuse to just spray through it, so an Infiltrator's gonna step in, grab his before he gets traded back away, but can the rest of Winthrop have the same effect? It doesn't look to be the case. Rifle in the hands of Ali, and he's gotten onto sight. Now Moves has every excuse to be able to step on, but he's quickly silenced. Ali holding for half. That's brave, but worthwhile until the step back.
And for Winthrop University here, right, we've had a lot of these questions. We understand this is a very solid map out of Shopify Rebellion Black. We did have the question of what is the preparation. I'm just not seeing as much of it in these later halves. The fights that they're taking out, again, the big critical component of Nasi being one of the first players out in the front line on the action, and then having them fall really plays into the fact that, okay, well, Winthrop University doesn't have that caller. Sure, they have a lot of good mid-rounders, but at the end of the day, you want that Sova info. We're not even talking about the utility as well. The utility element of it is for the retake. You need to have at least, I would hope you'd want both of your initiators. And again, Nasi being the first player to go down for Winthrop.
And so consistently shut down early on in the rounds, and it's been a big point of order to get Shopify across the line a lot more often than other teams on the attack here on Lotus. They clearly had a strategy going into this to pluck away at those secondaries that so often stack with the main defenders on these sites, namely Infiltrator and Ali. They've really not been worried about Moobs as well. I truly admire that. They haven't really been scared of this lurker, and Moobs, in turn, has been absolutely terrified to step out any further than this backline at the moment. Big stack caught by Ali early on, but the fault line should be able to take care of him, and indeed it does. So 3 stacks stepping onto the C site with Pancakes on a whirlwind of a wraparound. I don't even know if this is going to do anything, especially if the Infiltrator is already here. Now the slide back in. He's Red Monsi, but not dealt with him. Got to deal with Moobs, who has gotten back around to the back for one. And with this neural theft, knows he's in just the 1v1 until this door comes swinging back, so he has to realign. 14 seconds to go, and Monsi with the aftershock to stall. Now the 2 players swing to win the fight, which Shopify will. A little bit of panic setting in, but continues to look quite clean from this attacking squad 8 rounds in.
And that's honestly the key word there, Tenric. 8 rounds in, 8 in a row. 8 in a row picked up here, and we haven't seen a break. The closest thing we saw was the previous round on a potential defuse here. And the timings haven't even been like insanely rough. We do see a lot of really good individual play out of Winthrop. But again, individual, and these words that I'm nitpicking really make sense when you start thinking about it, because for Shopify Rebellion, they were separated. The immediate #1 priority was them, before they even get the plant, before they even take the engagement, is group up and take that 2-1 and win. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters, is if one goes down, you're unlikely to be Infiltrator spammed. Infiltrator doesn't have an outlaw anymore, so they're not as worried, I guess.
That's where he's been most lethal so far. That title will, of course, go to the attacking half once Winthrop reach it. Of course, Shopify still need to be on their toes for that, even if this does go 9-3, which if Paint could have his way, it sure as hell will. 3 now for this Yoru as he's opened up C site with a flick of the wrist.
Again, we've just seen consistently time and time again. Weak spots. Paint just going to keep farming on the 4th.
Come on, give it to him. Let's go. Where
going to help it.
Okay.
Jason down. You said utilities.
Wow.
But I mean, at this point, it's not even a matter of anything else other than just the fact that it's 9 in a row picked up. Mental in the clearance bin here for Winthrop University, and I just gotta have the question posed in my mind of like, where are the timeouts, where are the calls, right? Ali, you know, coach to player. As a coach, you have a lot of those moments of like, you're the one that calls the timeouts and makes those strats and says, okay, this is what we got to be doing. This is how we're going to be playing. And we don't really see that out of the Winthrop squad. So unless they have some immaculate prep, and can really make this curse shine, I will be doubting on Winthrop right now, which is just super unfortunate because they looked pretty good at the start. They had solid coordination. I do say I like this look of a 2-2-1 combo. It's very similar to how SRB has been playing the majority of their attack half.
I appreciate the willingness to continue flexing and continue that confidence in your ability to win individual fights before pushing on advantage, which is what Winthrop would like to do. They can't infiltrate nearly as much as they'd like to, or as Paint got to on the attacking half with this Yoru. It's got to come down to just absolutely blowing the opponent down. And you can if you're alone. Unfortunately, moves not good for the one. The spike stack caught, and the spike holder dealt with first. BCJ's targeting alerts the rest of Shopify to where this attack is leaning in its entirety. And with the trap wire taken down, Shopify have it fully confirmed. They can go for this retake on a C site in a 5v3.
More than that, I just love the way that the utilities being used to displace these players. A lot of disjointness out of Winthrop University. Even right now, Nasi pulled up all the way towards water. Each one is separated in a lane individually. And unless we see them go huge, it should be run through.
Yeah, so much put on each player, and it's Infiltrator first. He's got to do literally everything. All five looking at him. Just down to Nasi now, and been ISO'd by the salvos, now by the stack. So 3 will stay alive for Shopify's first defensive win here, even earlier than they got in the previous half. The pistol looking clean, which means Winthrop University's chances dwindle so much heavier now.
Oh yeah, it's just a matter of like, the way that Shopify Rebellion had played that was so clinical, where they stacked towards the A site, and no matter what position Paint or any of the players were in, it would have worked for them. Now, I do want to give props on one little micro, is that they timed out the Yoru gate crash before realistically going for the push. So there is a lot, again, individual prowess, but when we break it down on the beyond individual, on the synergies that we've been seeing, BCJ has gotten so much value out of disrupting and isolating players that it is almost, I wouldn't even say criminal, it's just very clinical in how he's able to do that. And right now, I mean, it's an eco. SRB just going to continue farming here, and Winthrop, unfortunately, needs to try something, but can't get much.
I think that's a really hard thing about this whole game from Winthrop University is with Shopify right now. There's not a whole lot of questions to ask.
Yeah, really,
everything they're doing so far is just quite agreeable. That's the way I would put it. It's going to be a flawless round 2 here on the defensive half to maintain all of these guns that Shopify Rebellion were able to buy up, and now then some on top of the util. I mean, you're already 2 out from the dimensional drift. You got a crazy retake game on the horizon already.
You know, there's the ultimates and all this stuff comes through and makes a lot of sense. My only question right now for the Shopify Winthrop game is, how is Liz going to defend this now? Because this is 11 in a row. This is 11 in a row, folks. And that is utter dominance from a team that has been dominating. And more than that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, isn't this Winthrop's map pick? Like, this is insane, because we're going on to Haven next, and Haven has been looking insane out of Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, Shopify clearly saw the weaknesses that Hubert were able to just barely poke out, but Winthrop has won out this fight on A site here in the bonus, pretty handily in fact. And Moobs also got his lurk kill too. So it's down to just Paint. I think it's about to TP past the trap wire here. Moobs will catch that too. So everything very clinically done there by Winthrop this time around, with just one gun gone. So they have this setup. They have the streak broken. Could they still have the map is the question. Again, it comes down to being able to win these fights so consistently.
I mean, I was in the middle of nerding out there, but I didn't miss it. They fought really well towards Rubble. They had weapons advantages as well as a really solid coordination out of their squad. So a lot of those stuff getting fixed on a stack. Right, if we talk about being disjointed, when you stack up together, it works a lot better for them. So just by proxy of the macro, the micro starts to fix itself. And I hope that continues, right? Like, Infiltrator's out here, but Nashi's there to support Nasi.
Oh, Infiltrator caught now by BCJ from the baby door again, but Winthrop will re-extend and win again. Nasi, good for the 2. Now he'll just gun it down. Owl Drone to confirm Spaz's position, and he'll now have to back out even further. Util jump onto him to fight the stack. Spaz for the one, and he's taking care of it swiftly as well. 3v1 for Winthrop to take their 5th round. Pancake's already here to meet it. Will avoid the drop angle. Silently drops down. The wrap back around the site. Recon dart to clear here. That'll confirm his position on drop. Pancake deals with him first. Here's the steps from Ali. Now the TP. Knows he's in tree. Checking for moves on the courtyard. He's come back the tree as well. Here's that door swing. First tap. Who's going to touch it? It'll be moves. Dealt with. Not Ali! And Winthrop hold on to a 5th.
That got so close off of it. Shopify Rebellion, though, being kind of overwhelmed by the stack of Winthrop University. On the flip side, when Winthrop had fought into the stack of Shopify, it worked in Winthrop's favor. But then when Shopify spread out, you know, it didn't really work out. Now we have the inverse yet again, where the stack works in favor of Winthrop University, and we finally can have a dialogue between the teams of how Winthrop has changed up the way they play. They're going back for this A hit. A little concerning, because now you have a 4 stack laid out on here.
Trying to level this back up, and yeah, Winthrop, they can be very boastful this round. First Sheriff taken care of. 4 more to go, and they'll clear every inkling of this A site in the process. Nice shots along the way. Ali staying locked in. Same with the rest of this college squad. They are used to playing from behind, I'll tell you that much, folks.
But clawing your way back has gotta be stressful here. Even though it is an eco, we're starting to see a lot out of this squad working together on the entries. Spam to come through, but Pain still shines as that duelist, and the damage that's being dealt here not only is huge, but also makes it seem like at any moment it slip away from Winthrop.
That's always really how it feels with this team, doesn't it? And so they'll play a little farther forward to give you a sense of relief a tad bit sooner here on the eco round. A 5-round gap all of a sudden doesn't seem too intimidating to most Winthrop University fans. That being said, with 4 ults in the bank and now a full reset and a timeout called, we're back to raid boss status if you're Winthrop University here on the attack. You got to use this overdrive soon in order to cycle properly. You got to have Nasi be able to activate a little more properly in this Hunter series. No doubt going to be able to the tool to be able to do that. Honestly, both teams looking to be able to level up for the remainder of this map at this point.
They've been definitely going to address the A-hold as well and how it's been played out here. We did see some signs of retake potential where they fall back rather than fight out towards Rubble. Being a lot slower has always been a helpful tool for the side of Shopify Rebellion Black. And more than all of that as well, Winthrop going to be debating on if they want to continue towards this A pressure, right? If A has been working to this point and they have themselves a good 5 stack, they might be expecting something to come out of the Shopify Rebellion playbook, and they might test their luck towards a different site, or at least spread things out here. And with the spike being kind of left around here, it's definitely a change for Winthrop.
You maybe slow things back down. Their tempo control has always been something to admire on this map as well. It's how they were able to stun Qbert Academy so often on the attack as well. Force them to start peeking and punishing themselves the same way that Shopify ended up doing in the middle of the previous half. With this Neon, though, you're able to get the drop a lot easier than with the Yoru to activate yourself. A lot more instant.
Did it call for a fake A? I mean, it seems like Shopify Rebellion's biting a little bit because there was noise made out towards A. You have Nasio as well as Infiltrator to try and sell it here, but you don't have any of the Teho util. I think that's what's really keeping SRB here, is because it was a little bit of a rotate. They're like, okay, wait, no Teho. This might be a fake.
Yeah, the sirens blared for just a moment, but they've stopped. Everyone from Shopify is keyed back into their original hold, including that 3-stack right up on the front door of C-Mountain, which will now clear out the remainder of that. Infiltrator gonna let this overdrive fly as Winthrop fly into B-side.
Oh, Armageddon to stop them as well, delay that plant, but Winthrop is gonna still have more control of the B side as they get that plant.
Intercept on top of the salvos. Pancakes out for 2. Hunter's Fury in response to try to play catch up, but Nasi will with 2 kills himself. Spike stranded here on site, and the dimensional drift from Paint continuing to distract and force Infiltrator to fight into 2. Nasi now good for his 3rd, and stacking on top of this Neon. That's now all that's left for Winthrop. His moves is dealt with in the extremities, but Shopify has to back out again. They can't risk any isolated fights, and with 15 seconds on the clock, they reset into 2v2.
Get back into positions. Now it's a lot of 1s on the field right now, and the timings are narrow, but I'm looking at that utility. BCG's got a refresh on those salvos, and they can go for a little play here.
Definitely the 2 players you want to be able to stay alive on this retake. Completely opening up that site, but not Nasi here in the baby door. And Ace for the clutch, and he'll nail it! Woo! Coming up crazy for Winthrop University, who continue a streak of their own on the attack now.
Oh my gosh, both of these teams really just streaky on both sides. I think I almost cursed it calling it round 14 of like, where's the dialogue? We start to see it, right? It seems like instead of a dialogue, it's been 2 monologues spoken to us. First a monologue on one side, then on the other. Very good though, I will say, out of the delay. The timing's really huge. And Nasi, you gotta talk about Nasi. The way that they've just not only been fragging out, but the way that they have had decision-making calls in the moment work in their favor. Have really brought Winthrop on this line. Now looking ahead, they're back towards the same shenanigans that they have had towards the A site.
Oh, and Paint caught on a whim from Infiltrator too. So now Shopify's got to lean heavy A early. Seems like Winthrop are going to chomp at the bit, though. They don't seem all too scared of what this defense has to offer this time around. So much used there for Shopify, too. It's a big reset round for them. This really could go the distance now, thanks to an insane ace like that.
Ooh. Have a couple pieces of utility. Breaks it down, but they have a inkling that B might be the play, considering that they've been hitting A pretty heavy at the start of their win streak here. The fact that they are willing to kind of adapt their play makes a lot of sense, and even more so that it is an eco for the side and the likes of Shopify Rebellion Black, so time to farm, right?
Yeah, just no proper coverage for this swipe back through the courtyard. Winthrop have enough people to cover all the angles necessary. Every contingency dealt with this round. Winthrop will treasure it while it lasts. Spaz. All right, we're toying with our food a little bit, but it's to give Infiltrator a 4th.
I think the funniest part of that is that Infiltrator stunned themselves. Like, Infiltrator stunned himself going in for that fight. He also did stun Spaz, so he could have gotten Spaz without having one go down.
It's like headbutting the opponent, but knocking yourself out in the process.
Yeah. Does that make you strong, or does that make you weak? The question to be asked here. Honestly, regardless of that, we are seeing a strong show of force here out of Winthrop, and have really silenced a lot of the doubt that has happened in my mind. Now, I'm just interested to see, like, that the efficacy of the Shopify Rebellion timeout has not been proven here. They do have another one in the tank, and Vapin is definitely a coach to do something like that, but I'm just concerned here. And excited for Winthrop, actually.
Yeah, this attack, yet again, looks electrified. No pun intended, of course, considering that overdrive hasn't really been the thing to do too much. Moves, good catch on a BCJ poking his head out of the sand. Spaz, not as keen. Won't get away with stepping back thanks to the cyber cage coverage, but Winthrop, now this lean over, can get caught by Pain. Timing is good enough with this operator that this Yoru now holds to equalize.
Pain has always been really good with an op, right? You have such good repositions out of this player. Really the sniper, it's almost like chamber meta 2.0 with Yoru's right now, where you could just get one and get out of dodge fairly quickly.
Whoa. Okay. We do have to get out of that one, don't we? Infiltrator, handed the space, and the operator for himself. He'll diff Paint.
Go ahead.
Now the Armageddon on top of these steps to give Winthrop even more time to waste. And Nazi more time to extend onto Pancakes. Fight one for him. Now up to the steps. Is he ready for that? No. Monty can clap back. And now in the 2v3, does Shopify choose to fight it? By the looks of where Spaz is headed with this operator, I do not believe so.
I mean, you want to try and save that op, right? Paint it's really good on Paint, right? Paint knows how to play with an op really well, and I was giving them a lot of hype. But unfortunately, you have the bite come back against you here. The attack side op out of Infiltrator has also been looking very clean, getting into good positions and holds to allow Shopify Rebellion to walk in them on the retake. And honestly, I would even question maybe Shopify Rebellion going for a fast intervention of their own here, because at this point, you have to start doing some damage control. 6 rounds in a row. The deficit has been gapped very quickly here. And the questions start to mount in a different way.
And these have been quick rounds. That's the other thing to really mention is Winthrop have not needed to take too much time in going for double backs and attempted fakes. Whenever they're ultimately red, because Monty's just so good at the macro, Winthrop just win the fights in the end of the day anyway. And they still have a bump up on the util just by the skin of their teeth this time around, though. Again, it's more damage over util, and if Shopify can do the damage, then they don't need the util. Pancakes, first kill on this operator as Winthrop attempts a second step out.
I like the gamble stack call as well as giving the op away, but there it is. Winthrop on damage control of their own. If you can shoot, we can shoot better. Anything you can do, I can try to replicate, and Winthrop is saying that we can replicate it better.
Monty caught alone, and the Hunter's Fury is just going to get used to chase him down. Winthrop University is hungry, but Nasi misses out on that meal, and now the salvos will too. It's got to be Infiltrator to deal with him. The rifle can't even get to him in time, and Shopify encroach a little quickly, but can't do enough in time. Pancakes now sitting with this operator again, and he is going to turn tail and make sure that Shopify can truly play for the long haul here. Nerds, it has become one and done. Shopify become completely discouraged after the dump. It's not even a question of being able to go for that secondary fight. Winthrop have made that an impossibility.
The retakes have not been looking good. They try to intersect there, like I was mentioning, did not look good either. It honestly feels like a mix of both mental and strategy kind of falling through. And for Shopify Rebellion, that's really out of character. Pancakes is going to wait for this, sets the op down. I mean, to be fair, there's a huge economy built up for some of these players. So if they can try and punish Pancakes, it might be better for them. If we see an 8, no timing. If we see an ace, but then you don't get the clutch, the level of discouraging would be crazy. And again, Tenric, this is the question that I have in my mind for Shopify Rebellion Black is it feels like a very losable game for them. Rather, now it feels like Winthrop really starting to showcase that it is also winnable for them. This timeout coming through again, they had to use both on this defensive side for Shopify Rebellion Black. Vapin most definitely talking through them and making sure that, hey, like, we need to either focus on our retakes or focus on our intersects. The main thing I would say, though, is focusing on one singular point and not being as disjointed, because Winthrop University has done such a good job on their attack side of doing what Shopify Rebellion did in bamboozling Winthrop when Shopify Rebellion was on their attack side.
Hey, these collapses have really just been tremendous from Winthrop and so heavy that the Shopify, again, they don't even want to try and answer back once it's fully confirmed, especially these past few rounds when they've saved. I think the ultimate response for Shopify Rebellion Black here is try to force Winthrop to take a little more time, whether that's an individual player just util dumping to stall an initial push in. If you can try and corral them over to C main, which I think is where Shopify would really like Winthrop to go at this stage. But a lot of it just comes down to this rubble fight first, which they will salvo out to thwart that first push, and you've got a 3-stack to start here.
In my mind, it's kind of what you said, but also the fact that it is a lot more coordinated on the Shopify Rebellion side, right? Maybe a set play to funnel them into this C aggression, into this C utility here, because immediately the TPs come through and there's overdrive.
Infiltrator really going to be forced to work this, manhandle it fully with this ultimate. Flare just spraying through the waterfall, deals with that other sight line for him. And now the back sight fully cleared away with that as that overdrive expires, but this operator continuing to truck on along, and Winthrop happy to remain just fully here on the river. Nazi steps into the smoke. Paint wins out that first duel, steps back out. Operator gone. Spaz now taking that front line, and Shopify taking a whirlwind to space. TP back on to try to sandwich the rest of this, but Alien moves lock in. Spaz with that frag back, and now it's just that 1v1. Moobs has the sight line though. Moobs has to spray through the smoke again. Gonna try and approach it. Doesn't have to. Just wins the spray. And we are tied up at 11 now.
Oh my God. I'm starting to... Wow. Okay. Wow. That's a huge show of force. Shopify Rebellion felt like they had a lot of control of that round. They forced them to go towards the C site. It's what they wanted to do. Paint manages to find 2, and everything goes in your hands down to the 1v1. That's where things start to get rough. How did it get down to 1v1? Well, Winthrop was there. They were shooting back. And more than shooting back, they were ready to tango with the Thunder. And now it's probably match point for Winthrop, unless we see some insane eco play out of this Rolling Thunder Armageddon dimensional drift shenanigan combo. Utilize the ult dump retake of some kind.
Again, if Shopify spot a drop of blood in the water, they will frenzy.
Piranha's just like, we gotta go, we're gonna go gnaw at this. It's like throwing a chunk of meat into it. But
that's exactly what it's gonna be though, is gnawing away at it, is finding one at a time, is waiting for, you know, the next to drop in.
They hear immediately noise, and if you look at the minimap, folks, it's just all running for it. They're like, we gotta go, we gotta stop them.
Winthrop, Chinese water torture type util right now. First with the owl drone, now the stealth drone to clear out this A site bit by bit. Slow burn until the full collapse that Shopify goes for. Infiltrator is way back though, and he'll grab an easy 3 for it. So that'll be that attempt done and dusted for Shopify's defense, and indeed, we're sitting on game point now for Winthrop.
Just immaculate play out of Infiltrator. Gotta give a little glaze, because holy, playing out in that position as well, also trying to ensure that, you know, Shopify Rebellion doesn't use any ultimates in case they do have it. Now, another big element of it was like potentially using these ultimates to secure overtime, but even then, like, this collapse is just crazy, man. They try to flood retake, jump, get aggro. It just doesn't work. Doesn't work. Looking at the setup now, it's 2-2-1. Similar stuff towards A site. We have Paint pushing up here, trying to take the initial aggro with Spaz holding things down.
Killed their cipher.
Cool. First good hold for Paint. Hasn't been able to get these first bloods too often on the defense, but that first step up is good for that lurk, and now has every excuse to go heavier on this A lane that Shopify are prepared to retake for on top of the Cypher util.
They just walked up into it. Infiltrator truly living up to their namesake of like, okay, well, I'm just going to take this space. It's mine. These guys aren't playing on the site. They're going to try and util dump us retake, so I'm going to just get in here and backstab. But look who's holding!
So brave Infiltrator, and he can't check everything. Pancakes holding all the way back in CT, and gets Nasi too, trying to step up the stairs after getting Monsi. Defensive Armageddon is a little bit late, but Flare still grabs Paint on the way out as well. The flush won't work, and so you've got to do it with the guns, and they will. Shopify take us to overtime in the bitter end. It's 2 9-round streaks that bookend regulation of our first map of the day here on Lotus between Winthrop and Shopify Black.
Oh my gosh, it went from being like, is this gonna be another, you know, bargain bin bash, or is this gonna be, you know, an actual bash? And it seems like Winthrop has brought it back. That was, for any fans of both teams, this has been a stressful day, and just got to give you guys props for it. But now it's a question of who has the better defensive side, right? You could argue that, what's it called? Shopify Rebellion won the 24th round, which was deeper into the game with rifles. They won that off of ultimates. And for Winthrop, when they won on their defense, it was the pistol picked up, just like Shopify Rebellion Black. So it's like another fresh like slate of whose defense is going to be stronger.
This is the vacuum that is the true test for these teams that have gotten the snowball rolling. Now you're on flat ground, and the stealth drone gonna go miles after Winthrop overextends down A lobby blasphemously. So Shopify's got to gun it down this C mound now, either through the door to B or down this road with all the Cypher util in tow. They've had a pretty good job breaching it so far, but Move, beautiful catch on the headshot on BCJ's jump up. Got to be dealt with swiftly, and Shopify do.
Go, go, go.
Rest of it caught on the back line as well. 3v5 on the retake, 3v4, excuse me. So BCJ goes down, spray through the smoke. Infiltrator, good for the one. As Shopify forced to plant backside, but Salvo's trying to catch on the default, will miss out.
And even then, you have Paint trying to explore deeper into the defensive spawn, and it just finds nothing. So you have to play out into this at some point. Paint's got to return to sender.
Vault line misses out. Infiltrator's already upstairs. Shopify pretty scared, but Monsi able to avoid. Now the waterfall dance with the double flare. Good for one, good for two. Has to come back to finish it off, but has help with Ali. On top of the spike, though, after Shock is sprayed through. The second it's procced. And Winthrop University will take back their defensive round. Once again, sitting one away from taking their pick.
Wow. And I mean, you called it an overextend, and I was also worried about that as well, Tenric. I was like, this is spooky. But they brought it back rather briskly. Managed to bring it close, and more than that, it honestly felt like it tripped them up. Not to mention Moobs holding down on the site, allowing time to be bought for the rest of Winthrop to wrap around in together. It does feel like Shopify Rebellion, right? They've played so much here on the defensive side, and it got tripped up, whereas for Winthrop University, they already knew what they were going to do. We've been on attack. We're going to continue execing into space and getting aggro and in your face, and now they're doing the exact same thing. Rebel controls theirs.
Winthrop decide to press down on this, looking for that first blood, and Paint could be that juicy target. If not, he is careful enough. He's not, though. Paint tries to stick around and doesn't grab a second. Winthrop will now go for the fight. Smash! Gifted two in a row after Infiltrator slides into the collat. And no doubt read it.
I have the spike.
Oh my gosh. At this point, right, Shopify Rebellion showcasing, okay, we know they're going to try and fight into us. Let's lay down this trap, a red carpet for you guys to run down. Oh, look at me, right? I'm feeling so good and fly. But no, you're going to go in there and die into the face. You get caught with a load of utility.
Now forced to swing over to this B. Not even touch anything along the way. Moob's going to maintain this frontline angle. It is a tight thread. Ali stepping out heavy. Wins the fight against Monsi. Turns this to a 2v3. Baby door position revealed, though, so the salvos are going to be able to stall. Moobs has to step out early on top of this extension. Smoke up the stairs gives him a little bit of extra time. And the first kill. But after dealing with him off the trade, they can very quickly spray back into where they knew Ali was. And we will go to OT2 here on Lotus.
Where was this on the defensive side? Look at that retake and the way that they held that as well. Shopify Rebellion playing it really slow and allowing Winthrop to over-aggress into them, which is something that we hadn't seen too much of. Not to mention the Spaz 2K being sprayed through. Just the timing's working out for BCJ. Really coordinated here for Shopify Rebellion, who have been in this spot before one time previously against Nonverbal on, unfortunately, it was their map pick of Lotus, Fracture, sorry. But this one isn't their map pick. You can kind of give them that to some degree, but it is one of their best maps. So both teams on the razor's edge yet again.
Another uber aggressive lobby take on the defense here from Winthrop University. It worked quite well to be able to come back on the flank, but Shopify Rebellion stick around here and spawn to be able to take this fight. Still another 2v2 though, as it's Infiltrator and Ali for Monsi and Spaz. So no more smokes for either of these teams leaving Shopify a little stranded all the way out here. Winthrop gonna get a little braggadocious with the amount of space they take, and already one of the cages used to let Paint go free here, and already has been given away across to Flair's angle. Now they're fighting each other in the isolated 1v1. He's gonna get some help now from Pancakes, and that'll be able to deal with him. Nazi and just in time for this 1v2 for himself. Naked 1v3 as the stack will settle their sights on A site, thanks to Winthrop taking those disadvantageous fights. Moob's taking one of his own to end this round, and now had Shopify the game point.
Okay, so previously on Valorant Challengers, we saw, right, the teams, it was a question of, okay, who's going to have the better defensive side? Then, on the overtime, both teams won on defense. What a surprise! It's crazy. Through entire parts of regulation, everything was about the attack, and now defense shines. Here, pick up from Shopify Rebellion Black. They managed to pick up an attack side. Their defensive side looked good as well, adapting to the way that Winthrop is calling through these different rounds here. And even more so, they're prepared. They take a timeout here and you think, okay, why? What's the point here? It's the nerves. A lot of teams, when they get to this point, they're thinking to themselves, okay, we just got one more round. This should be easy. But no, you got to treat everything with respect. And considering that Winthrop managed to really snatch this away from them, it was like a huge deficit at one point, 9-3 at the half, and it got to 11. They could not close out 2 rounds. You need Vapin to have that not only mental reset, but also be like, hey guys, we've been doing a lot right. These are the reads we've seen out of Winthrop. Now let's just go against them and counter them as hard as we did in that previous round 27.
I really got to maintain that energy here and aggressively ping in that rubble space. We'll see how heavily they want to take that. Winthrop University trying to gain back that space, that confidence that they maintained on so much of this attack. Fast lane brought up by Infiltrator to sell any amount of players over here, and we'll just start making a little bit of noise as the rest of Winthrop snakes over to the mound, but Pain is holding early on this smoke.
The thing is, they did rotate here. There was no other utility. It's just the fast lane to sell the fake.
TP's out.
Does Paint spot the shoulder?
I think he spots the gun or something. Yeah, he sees something in there. So knows of at least one. That'll prompt BCJ to start stepping on over. But Monsi second guesses after no further action is made. And in fact, it looks like we might just anchor BCJ here instead and send Paint back on over to the A site where the fight may end up happening.
I don't mind that as well as a call, but they are also, it's like both teams are indecisive almost, right? Like, how are we calling around them? A Brainiac battle through and through, but the exec starts faked towards the C site.
Oops.
Moves
so far up.
30 seconds left.
That passive space gained by Winthrop University that got them this far, and moves now wrap around site to trade back on top of that first pick off that Shopify manages to get onto Infiltrator here. Immediate site control, now fight control onto Pancakes. Ollie in the meantime, long range kill to deal with that. Neural theft guarantees Paint's position, and we no doubt go to OT3. It's 2 attacking rounds that look as clean as can be this time. Both teams sleeping at the wheel when trying to hold it back.
I mean, it was also really good reads, I will say, out of Shopify Rebellion Black, where they had good setups, but they just lost gunfights. And even more than that, to give some glaze to Winthrop University in the way that it was called in that moment of, all right, we need to make noise in both areas to try and disjoint them, dislodge them, allow moves to sort of enter into that area, catch Monsi off guard. And as soon as Monsi was done and dusted, it felt like so was the round. A site opened up and the rest of them fell.
Well, here we go again. Immediate entry onto B site here for Shopify, but the pool won extensively by Flair. Gotten Paint down to a measly 7 health points. Next fight chosen by Shopify Rebellion looks to be in C Mound. Fault line on top of the stealth drone into the TP that Nasi reads like a book. Now into BCJ, looking for third of Amonsi, avoids the aftershock. He's good for all of them.
I won't even call that an overheat. You have everything on the line, you gotta start speeding things up. Even more so, Infiltrator was there for refragability, so all in all, Winthrop was looking to get out on top here. Spaz gets taken, and now you have nothing to work with here. Info gained on Pancakes. Yes, we do recover the spike, but look at that dump. Pancakes is between utility and weaponry.
Exclamation point at the end of that round for a flawlessly executed Winthrop University defense. From the very first word of that round as well, Flair winning out that very first little peak war against Paint, immediately boxed out, and Winthrop taking every advantage possible, but Nasi, of course. Spotlight on him for that round. For sure, had all that openness, all of that responsibility, and handled it like the champion he continues to be. Up to 22 here on Lotus, and looking for a couple more to get Winthrop over the line here in OT.
Similar-ish setup, right? We have ourselves 1-2-2 to some degree, but it was 1 towards B previously, bolstering up the A side of this map, considering it's been a weak point for Shopify Rebellion. I'm liking it, but I'm also, you know, scared, right? Because last time we saw Winthrop getting inches and miles towards the A site without a fight out of SRB, they managed to really capitalize off of that space, trip up Winthrop. Nasi picking up the orb as well, trying to get their ultimate potentially here on the attack side to secure it even further, get themselves that 16th round.
Oh, nice suppression. Paint forced to not TP, but he'll still grab a kill before falling. Now it's got to be a question of how aggressively Shopify try and take this against Winthrop, who will be forced to run this down on the B side after nabbing that first kill. They saw that one weak point and they tried to nail it down. And then all the meanwhile, Ollie's held back all the way in Rubble Scene. If somebody snakes through Baby Door, they're not. Everybody's coming from CT. Shopify Rebellion inching away at these steps. Infiltrator tries to slide in early. Good for the one. Monsi aftershock catches Nasi too. All of a sudden, it's back to Shopify Rebellion. Flair only good for the one. And Ali has to get all the way back around to the Baby Door. Pancakes can just hold this down freely. He will not. He'll wait for the spray down, but Shopify intercept that just as cleanly. It's going to overtime 4, folks. We are not done just yet.
Ollie was truly calling for a higher deity in that moment. Please, bullets. Right, right, please send them into the faces. And you know what happens? It just does not work here. It feels like I'm watching like 2 separate different games happen. We just had the first half of Lotus, which was, you know, the first 24 rounds, and now we're on the second half of Lotus, which is the rounds after that. And the way that the strats have been developing is so interesting, because Shopify Rebellion waiting for Winthrop to fully exec onto the hold, and now they re-exec into a retake. Just all of these things are layered upon each other into Winthrop's defense here. Shopify Rebellion looking to take the distance, and honestly, at this point, doing a lot of the same stuff that they did at the very beginning of Lotus, just walking up C Mound.
And you got to do a little bit of reheating old strats at this point in overtime, and then flowchart from there, have the better responses in the aftermath. There's your first if you're Shopify. Good kill onto Moobs, who tried to stick around and sneak one in before falling. Now Pancake's going to try and do the same thing on the Cypher of his own. He is as swiftly dealt with, so it'll be a site-for-site trade here on Winthrop's defense. They're going to go for the full-blown retake from Spawn.
Oh man, and again, this is the same thing we've seen out of Shopify Rebellion as a set strat of like, we plant and play out towards defense Spawn, and it hasn't worked out, right? Because Winthrop University is cognizant of it, and they play. They've done their prep. They've got their notes. Their books are there. We know they're playing out here, so let's just take the flank.
It's a Winthrop attacking round on C site to try to take this over. Paint nabs the timing on Infiltrators, lurk up Waterfall, so Winthrop have to spread their resources a little thinner, but first watch up the back hallway. Everybody from Shopify's here, and Winthrop have got to act like it. Rolling Thunder on top of Monty's next kill, and that'll be enough to get the rest of Shopify over the line. Game point for them again.
Love the change of pace out of Shopify Rebellion. You talked about the flow charts, and it seems like they boogied their way into a better way of playing that round, because last time we saw a round similar to that, I'm not going to say the number because I truthfully forgot, but the last time we saw a round like that, it was kind of a wash because they played a little bit too spread out. They tried taking space down water, deeper into CT, somewhere even towards the B site. But this time they really focused on the main point of like, hey, we are going to lock down on this spike, lock down on this fight, get us to 7-15, get us out of here, take a break, take a breather, grab some water. And honestly, I don't know if I'm saying that for myself or for these teams, because it has been a long game.
It's already such an exhausting ordeal here. Shopify getting in front of this Rubble fight, and this will be the round to end it, surely. Overwhelmingly taken on the roots. And it's entirely won by Shopify Rebellion. The util dump goes all the way in their favor. A swift silencing, such is the nature of the map like this, that Winthrop tried so hard to clamor back for. The 17-15 on the horizon here. As soon as Moob steps out into the fray, only one he is good for. And so this first map stolen away by SRB.
One and done. Stolen away, or, you know, arduously battled for. I feel more of like, it felt more like they were like climbing a mountain together, and it was like, I need to be faster. I need to be faster. And it seems like Shopify Rebellion has gotten to the take. Fun statistic, I'm looking at my notepad. I think 0 timeouts. Yeah, 0 timeouts from Winthrop. Why? What? That's the real question in my mind. I said this earlier. It feels like a game for Shopify Rebellion that they can lose. And it did feel like that for a majority of it until, you know, especially the majority of overtime. Not the majority of the first half. It was insanity, Tenric.
Yeah, I mean, give Shopify Rebellion an open door and they will come out of those gates swinging so hard. And Winthrop all too often, they left the gates open at the end of the day. They gave them enough time to go for those executes. They gave them enough rounds to try going for different things and end up winning the fights that they needed to, and ended up giving enough rounds to get those ultimates up and running to be able to cycle through and take enough rounds in regulation to get them to OT in the first place. It was always just enough, and then a little more than enough to get Shopify that win. We'll see if they can do it again on their own map pick when we come back to Haven after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
Just breathing. I think that a lot of people don't remember to just take deep breaths during the clutch, and also just like trusting your gut. Multiple times that I've coached players, it seems like they think about 100 different things and then can't come to a decision instead of just like instantly trusting their gut.
I try to just like be prepared, and I feel like that's reassuring towards myself to handle pressure and deal with any of like the nerves or anything. Is like the more I feel in control, the more I feel prepared with going to a scenario or a matchup, the less that feels as like pressing to me, like inside of me. There's not as much like nervousness or pressure on it because I feel ready for what's to come, and I feel confident in what I have prepared, like looked at and game planned or whatever it may be. So for me, I think it's definitely like preparation and doing a lot of like prep work, whether that's VOD or like my own game plans or whatever it might be when it comes to practice and any ritual that I have before, especially if it's just like warming up. Even warming up helps to feel very prepared with myself and my performance, and I think that's helped a lot with easing off pressure.
I feel like the best way to deal with the pressure is just like to accept that it is there. I don't believe that people cannot feel pressure unless they actually don't really care about what they're doing. Competition should have pressure, right? Otherwise it's not even that much fun. That's where the fun part of competition is, you feeling that thrill of, you know, playing something that's worth it.
Maybe I'll feel like the nerves, like of the excitement of the match before. It really just depends on the match. It's just like having like a system and a team that you can trust. So no matter what, no matter who's playing bad or who's playing good, it's something you can hold on to and be consistent with. even then, by like trusting your system, trusting your teammates, you know, that'll open up a lot more actual kill potentials than, you know, playing like you're Lionel Messi. Not everyone is Kane Zero on the ISO, you know.
What I used to do was I would give myself at least piss around to kind of get my nerves out. So even if I whiff or don't do what I was supposed to do, I would kind of take it easy and be okay with, you know, messing up or being a little bit nervous. But I don't really get nervous too much anymore. So because after piss around, I just completely forget about being in a match and I just play like it is in practice and kind of just let things flow.